Pan to station 0 plus 080 on the West Street alignment. Control plus click the station label 0 plus 080. Right-click. Click Label Properties. In the Properties palette, on the Design tab, click the value for major station label style. Select Create/Edit from the list. In the Label Style dialog box, change the style to Perpendicular with Line. Note: make sure that you select Perpendicular with Line, and not Perpendicular with Tick. Click the arrow next to. Click Create Child of Current Selection. In the Label Style Composer, on the Information tab, change the style name from Perpendicular with Line, Child, to Station Emphasis. On the Layout tab, under Component Name, select Station. Under Text, specify the following parameters. Text height, 5 mm. Attachment, middle left. Click OK twice. The station is now displayed in large text that is attached to the end of the line. The size and position of the text are properties of the new style, Station Emphasis. The contents of the text and the color and length of the line are properties of the parent style, Perpendicular with Line. Press Escape to deselect the label. In the drawing, Control plus click the label 0 plus 100. Change its style to Perpendicular with Line using the Properties palette. Notice that in the style collection displayed in the Properties palette, the new style is indented under its parent. You can also see this placement in Tool Space, on the Settings tab, under Alignment Label Style Station Major Station Perpendicular with Line. Override the child label style. In Tool Space, on the Settings tab, expand the Alignment Label Styles Station Major Station Collections. Right-click Perpendicular with Line. Click Edit. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, click the Summary tab. Expand the Component 1 property. In the Text Height row, click in the Child Override column. In the Child Override column is displayed, indicating that the previously independent property of the child has been overridden by the parent. Click OK. Notice that the labels now use the same text size. The STA 0 plus 080 label text is now the same size as the STA 0 plus 000 label because the text height of the parent style has overridden that of the child style. The alignment of the line is still different because the text attachment point of the child style was not overridden. On the West Street alignment, zoom and pan to the area between stations 0 plus 100 and 0 plus 120. Click station label 0 plus 120 to select all major station labels. Right-click. Click Properties. On the Properties palette, notice that the alignment station labels are on layer C-Road text. If you look at the properties for the alignment itself, you will see that it is on the C-Road layer. Click Home tab, Layers panel Layer List. Next to the C-Road layer, click to turn off the C-Road layer. On the command line, enter Regen. The alignment and its labels are hidden. This happened because, while labels are independent objects on a separate layer, their visibility is linked to the layer of the parent object, C-Road. Turning off the layer of an object also hides the labels of that object, even if they reside on a different layer. Note: the blue line that remains in place of the alignment is the polyline in the externally referenced drawing, from which you created the alignment in the Adding Labels in Groups exercise. Click Home tab, Layers panel Layer List. Next to the C-Road layer, click to turn on the C-Road layer and the station labels. On the command line, enter Regen. Create a label style that is not affected by the parent object layer. Select label 0 plus 120 to select all major station labels. On the Properties palette, under Labeling, click the field next to Major Station Label Style. Click Create/Edit. In the Major Station Label Style dialog box, click Edit Current Selection. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, on the General tab, in the Label category, notice that the layer is 0. If a label style is set to layer 0, any of its color, line type, and line weight properties that are set to bilayer or biblock will inherit the corresponding properties of the layer on which the label resides. Click the Layout tab. In the Text category, notice that the color property for the station component is bilayer. This means that the major station label text inherits the color of the layer to which the style refers. Because the label style refers to layer 0, the major station label text inherits the color of the label object layer, which is CROAD_TEXT. In the Color row, click the Value cell. Click and change the station component color to blue. Notice that the text color updates in the Preview pane. Note: for greater control of color, line weight, and line type, keep all style components set to either biblock or bilayer, and the label style layer set to 0. Then, you can use the layers to modify these properties. This tutorial uses a specific color setting to demonstrate how layer settings affect styles. In the component name list, select tick. In the tick category, notice that the color property for the tick component is bilayer. Click OK to apply the change in color to the Major Station component and exit the Label Style Composer and Major Station Label Style dialog boxes. Press Escape to deselect the labels. On the command line, enter Regen. Notice that while the ticks still inherit the red color from the C-Road text layer, the text is blue. Click Annotate tab Labels and Tables panel, add Labels menu alignment single segment. When prompted to select a segment to label, click the alignment between stations 0 plus 060 and 0 plus 080. When a label appears on the alignment, press Enter to end the command. Segment label added to alignment. Select the new label. On the Properties palette, notice that the label is on C-Road text. When labels are created, they are placed on the layer specified for the label object in the Drawing Settings dialog box on the Object Layers tab. The drawing settings for this drawing specify that alignment labels are created on the C-Road text layer. On the Properties palette, click the field next to Line Label Style. Click Create/Edit. In the Line Label Style dialog box, click Edit Current Selection. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, on the General tab, in the Label category, notice that the layer style is C-Road BRNG. This means that if any of the color, line type, and line weight properties are set to bilayer or biblock, they inherit the corresponding properties of the C-Road BRNG layer, no matter what layer the label object is on. Click the Layout tab. Use the component name list to examine the properties of the various label components. Notice that the color of all the components is bilayer, except for the direction arrow component. The label components that have their color property set to bilayer are red because the color property of the C-Road BRNG layer is red. The direction arrow is blue because its color property is blue. Click Cancel to exit the Label Style Composer and Line Label Style dialog boxes. Examine the effects of layer visibility on the labels. Click Home tab Layers panel Layer List. Next to the C-Road text layer, click to turn off the C-Road text layer. The major station labels and ticks are hidden, but the tangent label you added is not. The station labels were hidden because they are on the C-Road text layer and their style refers to the C-Road text layer, which you turned off. The tangent label is still visible because, while you turned off the layer it is on, its style components refer to the C-Road BRNG layer, which is still visible. Notice that the STA 0 plus 080 and STA 0 plus 100 labels you changed in Exercise 2, using a child label style, are also still visible. This is because the rest of the major station labels use the perpendicular with tick style, which refers to layer 0. Labels STA equals 0 plus 060 and STA equals 0 plus 080 use the perpendicular with line and station emphasis styles, which refer to the C-Road LABL layer. Click Home tab Layers panel Layer List. Next to the C-Road text layer, click to turn on the C-Road text layer and the station labels. Zoom in so that you can see the 0 plus 040 station label on the West Street alignment. Click the label to select it and all the other major station labels. Click the grip and drag it away from the alignment. The label is now in its dragged state. The text and leader line are red because the dragged state of the label style is set to bilayer. Keep this label in view so you can see the effects of format changes as you make them. Change the dragged state of the label. In Tool Space, on the Settings tab, expand Alignment Label Style Station Major Station. Right-click Perpendicular with tick. Click Edit. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, click the Dragged State tab. In both the leader and dragged state components categories, notice that the color, line type, and line weight properties are all either bilayer or biblock. These settings indicate that when a label is in dragged state, it inherits these properties from either the layer on which the label resides or the block that contains it. Tip: because the preview pane does not show the dragged state of the label, position the Label Style Composer so that you can see a dragged state label in the drawing. Each time you change a label property, you can click Apply to see the effects. In the Dragged State Components area, change the display value to As Composed. Click Apply. The label returns to the original layout property settings, and all other style controls in this area are disabled. This type of dragged state format is easy to apply, but is not suitable for all label types. In particular, note that the leader line does not adapt well to all possible dragged locations. Change the display value back to stacked text. Click Apply. If your label has multiple lines of text, the stacked text setting keeps them all stacked horizontally in a compact block. You can see this in action by dragging one of the curve labels from its layout location. Change each of the following property values. Click Apply after each change to see their effects. Leader type, spline leader. Border visibility, true. Border type, rounded rectangular. Border and leader gap, 2.0 mm. Leader attachment, top of top line. After you have applied all the changes that you want to see in the dragged state, click OK. Modified dragged state, major station label 0+040. Note: to return a dragged label to its original layout format, click the grip. Pan and zoom to the area at the end of the West Street cul-de-sac. Click the red curve label between stations 0+200 and 0+220 on West Street. Grips appear on the curve label, but no other labels are selected. This label is a single label object that is not part of a group of labels. Right-click the label. Click Properties. On the Properties palette, in the Curve Label Style list, notice that you can select a general curve label style. General styles can be applied to line and curve labels that annotate alignment, profile, or parcel segments. Select General Curve Label Style Radius only. The individual curve label style changes, but the remaining curve labels on the cul-de-sac are not affected. Press Escape to deselect the label. Change the label style of a group of label objects. Click the 0+220 station label. Grips appear on all the station labels, indicating that station label 0+220 is part of the station label group. Right-click the label. Click Properties. On the Properties palette, in the Major Station Label Style list, select Parallel with Tick. The label style changes for all major station labels on West Street. Press Escape to deselect the major station labels. Change the label style of an individual label object that is part of a group. Ctrl+click the 0+060 station label. A grip appears only on label 0+060. The other major station labels are not selected. Right-click the label. Click Properties. On the Properties palette, in the Major Station Label Style list, select Perpendicular with Line. The label style changes for only station label 0+060. The rest of the major station labels on West Street retain their current style. Press Escape to deselect the label. In Tool Space, on the Settings tab, expand the Alignment Label Style Station Geometry Point Collection. Right-click Perpendicular with Tick and Line. Click Copy. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, on the Information tab, for name, enter Surface Elevation at Alignment Station. Click the Layout tab. You can use this tab to create and edit label style components. You will modify the existing line and geometry point components, and then create two new label components for the new label style. The first component will display the surface elevation, and the second component will display the alignment station. Under Component Name, select Line. Specify the following parameters. Start Point Anchor Component, Tick. Start Point Anchor Point, Middle Center. Length, 15 mm. Under Component Name, select Geometry Point and Station. Specify the following parameters. Anchor Component, Line. Anchor Point, End. Attachment, Middle Left. X Offset, 2 mm. Click the arrow next to. Click Reference Text. A reference text label component refers to other object types in the drawing, instead of to the object type you are labeling. In this case, the reference text component will refer to a surface object. In the Select Type dialog box, select Surface. Click OK. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, specify the following parameters. Name, Elevation. Anchor Component, Geometry Point and Station. Anchor Point, Bottom Left. Attachment, Top Left. Under Text, in the Contents row, click the Value cell. Click In the Text Component Editor dialog box, in the Preview pane, replace label text with EL. Under Properties, select Surface Elevation. Click to move the Surface Elevation property to the Preview pane. The property block in the Preview pane should look like this. EL, Surface Elevation, P3, RN, AP, SN, of. Click OK. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, click the General tab. Set the Flip Anchors with Text property to True. Using this setting ensures that when the labels are flipped to maintain plan readability, they will display as mirror images of the original labels. In the Label Style Composer dialog box, click OK. To apply the label style that refers to another object. In the drawing, pan to the intersection of the Main Street and East Street alignments. Click Annotate Tab Labels and Tables panel. Add Labels menu alignment. Add/edit station labels. Click one of the station labels on the East Street alignment. In the Alignment Labels dialog box, specify the following parameters. Type, Geometry Points. Geometry Point Label Style, Surface Elevation at Alignment Station. Click Add. In the Geometry Points dialog box, click to clear all checkboxes. Select the Alignment Beginning checkbox. Click OK. In the Alignment Labels dialog box, click OK. Drag the label to a clear location, if necessary. Notice that the label is added to the alignment, but the elevation value is displayed as. These characters are displayed because you have not associated a surface with the elevation component. Label style that refers to an alignment and surface, with no surface associated with the label. Ctrl+click the Surface Elevation at Alignment Station label. Right-click. Click Label Properties. In the Properties palette, under Reference Text Objects, click the cell to the right of Surface Elevation at Alignment Station. Click the drop-down list and select the surface name that appears in the list. Press Escape to deselect the label.